Hey, what's up? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. Today, I'll be talking to Grammy Award-nominated, multi-platinum R&B singer, songwriter, actor, and entrepreneur, Mario. And he's from Maryland, just like me. Let's go.
Times I don't wanna have bad.
How long have you lived in LA?
On and off for about 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been here for 20.
20?
Yeah.
Like from where?
From Maryland.
Right, from Maryland. Right.
Yeah.
Fire, bro.
That's
Lit.
one of the reasons I was
Lit.
obviously been a fan of yours for a long time, because coming from Maryland, it's a big deal when someone
It is.
makes it to the national and the global level. And I mean, globally, to do something at the highest level, there isn't a ton of people around you doing that in Maryland. So
Facts.
it's a big deal when someone does.
But it's a lot of talent in Maryland.
A lot of
so
talent.
much. You know, there's a lot. I actually did a research one day. I can't remember everybody, but there's a lot of people from my era that has had success. But you don't really, when you're there, you don't really associate that with coming from Maryland. You know
No,
what I'm
not
saying?
at
You
all.
don't feel that. It's almost like we should open up like a little museum for successful people who came out of Maryland.
Honestly,
It's like,
but think about it. They do have a museum for like
Really?
Babe Ruth.
oh, right.
If you had a
right.
museum for people that
Yeah.
from like all the different people that have come from Maryland and all the different like categories and walks
for
of
sure.
life, like there's a lot of talent, but it's weird because it's when you're there, it's everywhere feels like a small place.
Yeah, no, everywhere it does. And there's a lot of little small sectors and towns and
Yeah,
different things. I mean, growing up in Baltimore, I moved around a lot just in Baltimore.
all
though.
around the city.
So I never went to other places outside of Baltimore.
Right.
Like it wasn't until I got older and started like doing shows. And I'm like, oh shit, snap. We got cool stuff in Maryland. Like it's a lot of cool little areas and stuff. So, you know, being in music gave me such a broader understanding of even where I come from.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise I wouldn't have probably had it. I grew up in like a big family, but my family we didn't go outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in Edmondson Village, then we moved to Pikesville, then we moved to I lived back in East Baltimore before I left, and I got adopted at 13. So
yeah.
yeah, it was a lot of moving around though.
You got adopted at 13.
Yeah, yep.
What's that like to get adopted at 13?
Honestly speaking, by the time I got adopted, I was pretty like numb to life.
Right.
Because I have been through so much, like growing up in the city, and I saw so much. I got a lot of love from my grandmother, and like, you know, our family structure, just like everybody had to love each other. It was 18 of us under one
Wow.
roof, like cousins, older cousins, aunts,
Yeah.
uncles. It was kind of like that scene from Menace to Society when the party was happening. Like,
Yeah.
it was that energy, but it felt normal. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So by the time my grandmother passed away and things that happened, I was like numb to everything. So I didn't really feel much sadness I didn't know what I was feeling. I was
Right.
13 years old and I was just experiencing life day by day. It wasn't until I gotten older and I looked back on life and realized like the controlled chaos
Yep.
within myself,
Yeah.
because I never reacted to what was going on around me. I just was observing all of it,
Yeah.
you know, and just trying to figure out, like, I always felt a beat before my time. And I think that's one of the reasons why coming into the music industry, I was kind of like already super mature and like I wasn't really like a kid in the candy store. I was just kind of like, okay, what's next? Like,
Right.
you know, what crazy journey is this next? You know what I'm saying? I think the hardest part about the adopted part was just the fact that I was completely away from my family and it was a completely new type of control structure. It was, you know, I never had a father figure. So it was like
Right.
someone trying to like beat my dad. It was like
Suddenly.
what is this? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So yeah, that was the hardest part.
That to me though is like, it's crazy when I think about artists that it's weird because like I have followed your career. It's over 20 years I've been
Yeah.
following your career, which is crazy to even say.
It is.
And we're in this like weird business where like we straight up we see them go down to it. We see people don't survive.
Yeah, it's tough because people have to see it.
Yeah.
When you're not in the public eye or when this isn't your path, like you can go through your dark moments and your shadow work and everything and not have it be exploited
Yep.
in a way, you know,
Yep.
and that's the hard part about it. And so I think that I think I did good with managing the parts of myself that I didn't want the world to see, and dealing with any moments of like complete chaos in my life without it being exploited.
Right.
You know, that was one thing that happened, but like other than that, it was like, you know,
Well, there's always going to be one thing,
like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
or two, or three.
And I learned that early on, you know what I'm saying? I learned that especially when the digital crusades happened, bro. Like, I'm like, okay, this is changing the landscape of how we live, you know.
The digital crusades.
That's what I call it.
That is,
Bro, that's
I've
what I call
never
it.
heard anyone say that, and I'm like, you know what? You just nailed it.
Bro, that's what I call it.
That's crazy. That is
digital
a
crusades.
really great way of putting it. And you see people fall victim to it, and it's a real thing.
We all have in our own way.
Yeah.
And it's like the prime example of like, okay, you can think one way and you may have the answers to like solving problems of a million people.
Right.
You could give them, but if 999, you know, thousand people follow this one way and you have the answers, it's like it's gonna affect the whole movie.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the control of the internet, you know what I'm saying?
And it's the reality that we live in.
It's the reality we live in. So, you know, I think now it's getting to a point though now where it's like, okay, I'm starting to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, because it's like,
Yeah.
it's forcing us to have to wake up to like, oh, how the world is being. When I say the world, I don't mean Earth itself, like
Right.
people, our collective consciousness,
Society,
how every
yeah.
society is performing in life every day. And it's like you have to kind of choose who you want to be and what information you want to take in. What do you want to watch? You know, what do you want to be your guide? What do you want to be your vices visually and subconsciously? Like, it's getting to that point where I'm like, okay, this world is like very addictive.
Yep.
And it doesn't even have to be real. And so it's like, you got to kind of make sure you know what you're doing there.
Yeah. I was just talking about this.
It's crazy.
I was just talking about this today, that like what I kind of realized this week, I don't even know what made me think about it. Oh, I do a TV show called Ink Masters. It's a fun TV show, very light. It's a tattoo show.
Fire.
So
I got
it's
like 20 tats.
Yeah. You have tattoos. Yeah. It's easy. It's not heavy. And I was promoting it, and I went on a show, and I was I was comfortable.
Yeah.
So I was casually just talking about like my wife, and you know, it was nice. It was like, they're like, how have you guys been together so long? And I'm like, oh, you know, lots of therapy. And it was kind of joke, but also we have gone to therapy, but I also go to therapy myself. So like,
Facts.
I don't know, it's not that foreign to people now. Like it feels pretty casual to say, right? And then I saw a thing today. I don't promote a lot.
Yeah.
So you know, when you go out on promotional tours and you're doing TV shows and stuff, it's a little stressful and you're a little uncomfortable and you're just trying to find your way through it, and you know,
for sure,
it just feels weird.
Like how to like say in these small bites, in these small times, everything that this means to you, everything that like me. And then
avoid certain things that you know will be the headline. So then the headline is
like, no,
Joel and Nicole go to therapy to whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, bro, that was like 1 second out of the whole interview.
Yeah, and also
That's
I kind of
crazy.
I felt embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because like also I don't want to embarrass my wife.
Yeah.
It's really not anyone's business anyways in some regards. But then in another way, it's like, is that so bad anyways? Like, but I had a moment where I was like, fuck, man, I feel embarrassed. And I told my wife that. I was like, I feel fucking stupid, man. Why did I even go on that and say that?
Yeah.
And because I don't even fucking care. I don't even need to go on that.
That's like when you just like a cool person and you go in the interviews, you just like, people always say, like, what can't we talk about? I'm like, I don't know.
Talk about whatever.
That's where that matters. It's like, but then you don't also, it's like, you know, when you make music that has lived with people for, like, you don't want things to feel like,
you don't want to push people away.
It's like you literally could be changing somebody's life.
And the person the host of the show isn't even trying to get that out of you. Like, they're cool. It's just the media aspect of it. But I told her that, and she was like, I don't know. It just feels like you were being yourself. Don't think about it. And then I was thinking about that, and we were talking here, and I came to the conclusion that, like, as embarrassing as those moments can be sometimes when we are vulnerable, or even if we're not being vulnerable and we're just being casual and being honest, the most sustainable thing we can be is ourselves.
Very true, bro.
If we create a character that we have to live up to, it's unsustainable.
It's true. And I also think, like, as artists, sometimes I know that I speak for myself, but like sometimes I overthink what people may think about something like that. Yo, people don't even care. Yeah. Most of the time, no one cares.
That's right.
They really don't. And you like, oh.
They're literally reading it while they're like going to the bathroom.
They don't care. You know what I'm saying? And so.
Yeah, it's true.
No one cares.
It's true. We get in our head though.
For sure.
Because we're thinkers.
Our job is to actualize emotion. Our job is to actualize stories. Our job is to, make people believe what we feel is real through the music and know that it's real and affect them. So, for sure, man.
I feel like you have, over the last 20 some years, first of all, I think, R&B music and what you represent in R&B music and what you experienced at a young age, and then essentially growing up in this. Yeah. And you're having, a lot of success with your new music, which is a testament to talent.
Thanks.
And experience. And
definitely experience for sure.
And also, though, from the outside, I look at it and I go, you must have found some calm in there to not be. I'm trying to explain it without insulting. I'm not trying. I don't want to insult other artists.
But it's the truth. Like, I think that
it feels like there's some calm or zen in there, because I see people that have struggled and they're jumping out at all these different places, and some of it you're like, oh, they're really creative, and some of it you're like, yo, don't do that. And then you see people who grow up in this thing and there's some gracefulness to it. And like, I feel like you have, because it can be a really ungraceful business, and we all see those stories, but I just feel like when I see you, I go, that guy must have some zen in his life, some calm in his life, something that matters more than this music more than this.
You really just did it. What you just said is it. And not to take away from the gratefulness I have and the gratitude I have for people buying my music, streaming, listening over the years, coming to shows. Like, I just came off a tour, but in anything that we do, and this is for anybody listening, like, your meaning of life and for life cannot be your occupation, and it can't be something that can be taken away from you.
I agree.
You have to build a ship around you energetically that is yours. Yep. And that space and that place is sacred to you, and it has to be, in order for you to be protected, in order to protect yourself, and that's something that I think, after moving from Baltimore for the second time, when I moved back at 19 years old, moving back to Baltimore at 19 is different from 13.
Right.
The reality of what I was able to remember and see that I was living, and what people were living in the city, and what was going on in my family, just my life, and where I really came from, as opposed to what the world knew about me, was two completely different worlds. And so I stayed in Baltimore for like 5 years as an artist, though, as a working artist. And it matured me a lot, spiritually, mentally, psychologically. And I'm grateful for the struggles and the distorted chaos moments that I was experiencing personally, that drove me to want to move and to understand life from every aspect spiritually. And that's what I think changed for me when I moved back. When I moved to LA, I was like, okay, this city's interesting. It has all of the elements of, like, whatever life you want to live, you can live it.
You can be anyone you want.
You know what I'm saying? You can be anything you want here, right? And you're also,
there's good and bad to that.
Right? And so, but because I seen so much failure in life, failure as in personal failure, not, oh, I tried this idea or this job and it didn't work. Like, failure on a soul level.
Right.
When I came here, it was like nothing could break me. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, okay, all I need now was just space for me to like grow